Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Dashcoin Research Podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Wenzel, and today I have Michael with me. Michael is the founder of CryptoGym, which is a trading app that lets you practice your trades without risking real money. Michael, it's great to have you here.
Yeah, it's great to have you too. I saw this podcast on X, so you were crushing it, so wanted to hop on and speak about CryptoGym and the progress.
Yeah, excited to have you and to share your story. I really started this podcast series of all the Believe founders because I want to help give you guys a platform to speak with your holders in a way that they can go and listen on their own time. Because I think with this kind of coin, everyone wants to know, is the dev legit? What do they know what they're talking about? And they want to get a feel for them personally. So I think a podcast method is a great venue to do that. That's why I'm happy to have you here, Michael. And I want to share your story of CryptoGym, a bit more about your background generally, and then just talk about some like ICM stuff and different crypto stuff afterward in kind of a general format. But I want to spend the first 10 to 15 minutes just talking about CryptoGym. And maybe you can start by telling us the story of how it got started. How did you get started building that app?
Yeah, sure. So thanks for the intro. So a bit about me. I'm one of the most underground crack devs in the space in crypto, coding in crypto for the last 4 years. I've been coding since I was like 13, so for the last 10 years. In fact, I probably know JavaScript better than I know English. And I got started by winning hackathons in college when I was 17. And I would do that just to pay the bills. And I got into crypto because I started seeing crypto hackathons with, having massive prizes. And I started winning those. I dropped out of university at 19 and became the founding engineer of Helio. At the time, Helio was nothing, so there was two non-technical founders, and they were like, "Oh, we can do everything, but we need someone to code it." And I was like, "Well, that's perfect for me because I can code really well, and you guys can run everything else." And these guys had a ton of experience, so it was a match made in heaven. And I joined that around 3 years ago. Scaled it up from like nothing, and now it's one of the biggest payments providers in crypto, the biggest payments provider on Solana. Powers a lot of tools you might know, such as Dex Screener's Moonshot, which was like the second or third biggest launchpad. Also Shopify Pay, which is the leading kind of payments processor on Solana on Shopify. And yeah, behind the scenes, I roll a lot of that code and been essentially building the trenches behind the scenes for the last couple of years with Dex Screener's Moonshot. One of the biggest problems I noticed building the trenches was that a lot of people one of the biggest problems was that people were just losing. Okay, let me think about how to process this answer. So, one of the biggest problems I realized building the trenches for the last 2 years was that nobody had a place to practice trading. And it was really, really hard to get new beginners into crypto trading. That's one of the biggest problems. And for 3 reasons. So the first reason is there's way too much to learn for beginners. Like you need to learn blockchain, smart contracts, wallets. Like nobody has time for that. It's way too much of a learning curve. The second is people were hesitant to put in money because they heard the negative connotations that crypto has and crypto trading. They thought it was a scam. And the third is when they go to put in money and they have no idea what they're doing, they do one trade and it's a losing trade, of course, and they run away after one trade and call crypto a scam. So CryptoGym, essentially my project that I'm building, fixes all 3 of these. It's a simple app that you can use. You can get started with one button click in 5 seconds. And there's no technical jargon whatsoever. It just says how much money you have and the tokens that you can trade, right? And you can use this as much as you want. You can just trade and trade and trade and trade. You have like a fake money. You start with $100,000 of fake money. And you can trade the prices of the real tokens. So it's a completely realistic trading simulator. And you can just use it to trade and continue to do losing trades and learn and see patterns and not risk anything. And then when you're starting to make profit and profitable trades, then you can properly on-ramp with real money into crypto. So the mission for CryptoGym really is to become the biggest on-ramping platform into real crypto. I think it's been missing for ages now.
Yeah, I love that. That's sick. Like, when I have children, I want to set them up on CryptoGym and get them trading, because I love trading. I think it's fun. It's like there's a huge learning curve to it, and it's also a great place to, like, if my girlfriend wants to try and learn how to do it, I don't want to set her up with real money, and I think that is a really needed piece of infrastructure. And so you launched a token on Believe, right? And what was the process of that like? Like, what was the thought process that led up to it? And what's that experience been like since you launched it?
Yeah, so I have this hat on. It's called Z Fellows. Shout out to Z Fellows. I was there 2 months ago in San Francisco, and it's basically like kind of like a cohort-based like club where they invite 10 people out from around the world, and they meet a bunch of different executives. Anyway, and the reason I'm mentioning it is because at one of the Z Fellows parties, I met Ben Pasternak. This is around a couple months ago, and this was when Believe was like absolutely nothing. Like, it was under the radar. I think it was still called Cloud at the time, and he was telling me about his vision, and it clicked with me very, very quickly, because I've obviously been working at Minute for the last couple of years, and I was seeing how there's a lot of these launches, but they weren't really backed by anything. It was kind of like just purely speculation. I could never comprehend why, like, how these big launches were going to be sustainable when they were backed by nothing. And when he was explaining the vision and give traders the ability to trade, and give people with real projects and real utility the ability to launch and fundraise, and basically defeat or go through venture capital. Not have to go down that route. Sorry, it just made total sense to me. And I went away from that thinking like, okay, I gotta launch a token on Believe. I gotta try this out. I did that. I launched CryptoGym around a month ago actually, but I had to keep it really, really low key because I was still working at Helio at the time. I launched it. I saw the power of what it can become. Yeah, I was just hooked ever since. The launch itself was very, very simple. I mean, this was very early days when nobody really knew what Believe was going to become, and I just recorded a video within like 30 minutes, posted on X. I think the video did around 40,000 views, which is not bad. And yeah, from that, you essentially got the first seed of fundraising for you to actually build your idea. It's pretty magical.
It is really magical. And how much did you end up raising in the Solana fees? Do you know that number off the top of your head?
I think it was around 20 to 25K.
That's pretty good. That's great for a place to start on an app. Do you have plans for like how to monetize the app? Because that's one of the biggest questions that came to my mind when I saw your thing. It's like, this is a sick app, and I think it's really useful, but I don't know how you eventually monetize it. So I'm just curious if you thought of that yet, or if you're still kind of working out an idea.
So one of the biggest inspirations for me with building CryptoGym was looking back at at history. I often think of Forex as a mirror of what crypto is right now, but 5 years prior. And if you think about it, everyone in Forex, when they got started, they got started through sandboxes and simulators, especially retail users. They would run up the sandbox first, and then they would like make money in the sandbox, and they would screenshot the sandbox, be like, "Oh my god, like I'm the best," and they would post it, and then they would onboard into real currency and real money. And it just like really stuck with me. Like, why does that not exist for crypto? And you can use the same strategies to monetize as they did back with Forex. I mean, some of the Forex sandboxes were printing crazy. A lot of the Forex sandboxes had their own like live money mode where you could just click a button and it would onboard you to live money. Some other Forex sandboxes had really, really, really great affiliate funnels for other Forex platforms. So I mean, that's something you could do with CryptoGym, for example, referring to Axiom, or basically any trading platform really, like Moonshot Money. There's a lot of conversations to be made there. For us, right now with CryptoGym, we're all about trying to find product market fit and building a great product first, rather than focusing too much on the financials. But yeah, the monetization, I think, is not really a problem as long as you get the eyeballs. You can.
Yeah, I had no idea that like how that worked before. It's a very new like concept to me. But having a general idea of like a way to monetize it, I think is great. And I agree with you. Like focus on building a great product first, and then you can monetize after. That's what I'm doing with my coin. I launched it, and I didn't have a great idea of how to integrate the token. Because I'm focused on making a great product, a great research tool, and a great resource for traders. And I think, yeah, so I think you have the right approach there.
I'll never build a product without knowing if it's monetizable first. And the reason I'm building CryptoGym is because I see a lot of very strong monetization flows and different paths we can take it. Right now, my focus is on getting as much eyeballs on it as possible. When you have eyeballs, especially eyeballs in the financial sector, they're very valuable customers, and a lot of platforms in crypto would want to use them. So,
I love it. That's awesome. So you launched before it was actually really popular to do so, because on the 13th of May, everything went crazy. Like Launchcoin hit an all-time high. All the tokens within the Launchcoin ecosystem like went to an all-time high, and a lot more people launched that day. But you launched even like it looks like about 2 weeks before then. When that happened and like when that crazy day happened where everyone else was going insane, did you see a lot more attention on your project as well?
yeah, so at launch, before Launchcoin was really big, took off, my launch did around 1 mil market cap at its peak. And following the days when it kind of dropped, when you had that massive green candle, again, and Launchcoin gained mass adoption, my project, just because it was a belief project, matched that $1 million market cap. It went back up to 1 million. So if you look at my graph, my chart on Deck Screener, my chart looks crazy. It's like so weird. It's such a weird chart. It's like 1 million and then down, and then 1 million and then down, and then now it's back up at around 500K. So, but it's much more sustainable now, and it will be going forward. But yeah, it was a very interesting period, that massive green candle.
Yeah. Do you have ideas of how you want to integrate your project's token into CryptoGym? I'm curious how you think about that, because I think that's really an open question for most projects that I've talked to. They're still figuring out exactly where it fits in. And I'm really curious to hear your idea, because you're crypto native, which is really exciting to me. The fact that you're familiar with all this stuff and you're launching a really interesting app that's monetizable. I think like I'm really excited to hear what else you got cooking.
Yeah, that's one thing that's really, really important. And I think it's something that really separates me from the other Believe launchers is I know all of this stuff, like from the back of my hand. I've been literally building the trenches from the last 2 years. So there's no like warm-up period of like having to understand Solana and then this and this and this. I know exactly like what to do. I know how to drive the ship. In terms of how the token's going to integrate, the aim for CryptoGym is to become like a very serious utility token. Again, very early stage, so we're still figuring out product market fit, and then we're going to figure out how the token integrates into that. I've already announced a couple early teasers at how we're starting to integrate the token. One of the biggest ones for us, like I mentioned at the start, is really about grabbing eyeballs and getting attention. And the number one most important thing in the tokens, like for tokens health, is volume. Actually, I would say everybody knows this, but that's the thing. A lot of the Believe launchers, I don't think they know this because they've not been in the trenches for a while. Whereas I know this very clearly. You have to have volume for the traders to trade. If you don't have volume, your token's going to slowly die. And so making sure you have attention, which equals volume, is really, really important. One thing I announced a couple of days ago was the new affiliates program that we're running for CryptoGym. And you can refer your friends, just like you would on Axiom or Moonshot. And instead, although it's a free app with a sandbox mode, you can still earn real currency, like real value, i.e. CryptoGym tokens. Yeah, along with that, in fact, I launched some alpha for the podcast. We're also launching cards, so custom trading cards. You can showcase some of your trades. Like I said earlier, a lot of the kids in the sandboxes like to screenshot their trades. We're going to launch that, and along with the affiliates program, and hopefully start to create some eyeballs and some hype on CT. And then going forward, I mean, one valid pushback would be like, okay, well, you're giving people the ability to earn CryptoGym tokens. Now you need to give people the ability to spend CryptoGym tokens to make it a healthy flywheel. And yeah, we're definitely eager to implement something there. We just need to be very clear about what that is and make sure that it's extremely valuable.
Yeah, like you said, this is very early stage stuff. And I'm loving the fact that there's like an open market for these kind of products. Like that's the nature of crypto, I think, and the magic of it is that we can speculate on like anything. And I think being able to speculate on early stage startups is what got me super excited about Believe. And that's why I made this t-shirt. And that's why I'm making this podcast and staking like all of my time on focusing on this. And since you've been in crypto for so long, I assume you're a trader as well in some capacity, right?
To a certain extent. To be honest with you, I'm actually not as much of a trader as people realize. For two reasons. First of all, it's a conflict of interest of like being a dev coding the trading platform, and second of all, I mean, to be totally frank, like I was never super incentivized by trading meme coins. Like that's one of the reasons why I love Believe so much, is because you're trading real backed projects. I mean, sure, you know, like I enjoy like the technical side of building trading bots and things like this, but actually trading meme coins I was never like too passionate about. Now with the ability to invest in startups and people and vision at the earliest stage, that's like that really like perks me up and gets me excited to trade.
Me too.
As well, right? Me
too. That's what I'm like. I'm sitting here doing my third podcast of the day, and I'm like still super energized and all about it. And I want to move into that part of the conversation where it's more free flow and focused on the broader ICM stuff. Because one of the questions I had for you is, so right now it's like illegal to promise returns in the US, let's say. You know, you can't have a company in the US and then launch a Believe token and say, we're going to share revenue with the token holders. You can't say we're going to give you dividends, anything like that. Although I think that's the most compelling case. You know, I think that's the most pure version of this, that I would love to see that it is just like an equity but tokenized on the blockchain. And I'm just curious to like hear your thoughts on that matter, I guess. Riff a little bit on like what you see the ideal token integration is. Like, do you also agree with me that that's a great way to do it? Or do you think there are other better ways to integrate a token like equity? Or do you think it should play a totally different role and not look like equity?
For Believe itself?
Could be for Believe itself or for any token that kind of matches this format of like being a startup token.
Yeah. So I have some hot takes on this. I think if you were to put me in Ben's seat and say, hey, you're the CEO of Believe, the leading like startup kind of backed new token meta platform, what would you do? I think the value I see in Believe is the ability to fundraise based off speculation, and for young kind of talented people that are usually out of the limelight to really have a stab at building something great, and for people to bet on them. You gotta give, one thing I've learned from building the trenches is you gotta give the traders something to trade. You gotta give them some meat, right? They don't really care like what it is. I mean, like sure, they'll complain on CT if they lose money, but like they just want something that goes up and down. They just want to like click buttons and that's what they want. And then from the builder's perspective, builders just want to get they just want to get cash and skip having to talk to boring ass investors and go through that mundane process of like 2 to 3 weeks of like fundraising. Essentially, that's what I think the value is of this whole new like startup based token meta. In terms of how the token then unfolds, and how people are rewarded by that. I think it's going to be on a case-by-case basis per project. I believe I agree with Ben's approach to building the tools for each project to do what they want with it. And I think we'll start to see like mini metas form. And, like, for example, initially, some people try to like burn their tokens, and then you're like, okay, burning tokens is probably a good idea. Like, it's probably like not like the most optimal thing you can do. Like, how about if we turn it into like some sort of like creator attention program to spend the tokens on, to get more eyeballs. And people are gonna figure out how to build the flywheels in their own projects. And the traders, they just want volume. They just want to trade. They just want to believe in people. And I think it's always going to be like somewhat speculation backed. And I think anyone that disagrees with that is kind of like lying to themselves.
The speculation drives volume.
Speculation drives volume. Volume drives success. It's instead of it, like, volume is going to become the biggest incentive, right? And believe, because that's how the builders make money, is for the fees, for the volume. That was one of the reasons I was so bullish on Believe, was because before you basically had to snipe your own token and pretend that you were not selling, and then sell, and sell on the people that believed in your token, which is kind of fucked up. And everybody knew it was fucked up, but like, people were making money, and that's fine to them. And with Believe, it's like you get paid, but like builders, they don't have to like dump on people that believe in them anymore. And I think that's like a massive step forward. Now, also, I'll give a shout out to Moonshot, the platform I was building, 'cause they also implemented this as well, this reward sharing logic. I just see this as a massive step forward, where the core incentives have shifted in the trenches. I feel like what we're seeing right now, I'll go back to your question in a second, but I feel like what we're seeing right now is an antibody reaction to this, where traders are used to the casino elements of meme coins, where things go up, they usually have like an attention span of 24 to 48 hours, and then they go down. And you can see that in the launch coin chart, right? Pretty evident. They have very short attention spans. But this is a whole new form of token. And I think people have to start like abstracting the new like startup backed like Believe tokens from meme coins. I don't think this new this new startup backed token has like a name yet. Like meme coins there.
It does. It's the Internet Capital Market coin.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's the closest thing I've heard.
Coin, I guess. I think there'll probably end up being like a catchier one than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing right now is like an antibody reaction, and people are slowly starting to realize that these new tokens are being backed by real projects, real builders who have probably not figured out like how to actually integrate their token to create positive flywheels. But I definitely see that unfolding in the next like month or so, and then from there I think it's going to gain like another massive wave of mass adoption.
I agree. I just think it's the most exciting, like, it's a new thing in crypto. I feel like the trenches are bored of PvPing each other with endless meme coins, because like there's no moat with a meme coin. It just like comes and goes instantly, and like you can launch another one tomorrow, you can launch another one in 5 seconds, but you can't launch another CryptoGym instantly. There's only going to be one CryptoGym. Maybe someone's going to try and copy you, and there'll be two. But both are unique products, and you actually need a product behind it to make it special, and that's what I think is really cool about this. There's only going to be one launch coin. There's only going to be one Dashcoin Research coin. Like, it's not easy to vampire attack the previous coins like it is with meme coins. So these are like a unique version of altcoin. And currently a lot of the altcoins that exist are just governance tokens, like the Uniswap token. It did horribly because it didn't actually get any of the revenue or any of the upside that Uniswap Labs got. Like the Labs entity got all the money. And that's what people are sick of. They want altcoins and to bet on companies that actually make money, and somehow that flows back to the token, which is why I was kind of harping on the point of like it being like equity. I feel like that's important because it's important for the narrative of the trenches to like bet on that, because I just think that's the ultimate end game, is like when people can feel really secure in the sense that when they take a bet, they can feel guaranteed that they'll get some of that upside if the company does well in some way. Like whether you integrate it on the end when you get some of the revenue, or like you integrate it inside the company as like to use it, you need to consume the token somehow. That's to be determined, but like people need to feel confident that the token gets upside from the company.
I think that's probably how it's going to play out in the long term. That's the mission of this new meta, I think. But I disagree with you in the short term. I think in the short term, it's going to be very strongly speculation backed, and it always will be. And one thing I'll say directly to the traders, which is what I think one of the biggest advantages of the new Believe coins, is there's so many new vertices to trade based off. So with meme coins, you just trade based off attention. And you have like very set parameters, like how many people are mentioning on X, and then who bought it and who didn't buy it. And you're very limited by the amount of like research that you can do. It's like extremely casino based. The new Believe tokens, there's still going to be a very strong kind of essence of speculation to it. There's going to be way more vertices that you can judge based off, like who the founder is, their technical ability, their ability to execute. Every single vertex that normally like angel investors would judge you based off. You know, your project's ability, your project's mission, like your experience. I don't know. You know, like your co-founders, like everything. It's like it's like an open world, and you can do so much more research, and it implements so much more skill base to trading, which I think traders love that. Like traders hate when like noobs make money, and it makes them really upset. And with Believe, it becomes way much more of a skill issue, I feel. And I think that should make traders really, really excited.
Yes, exactly. And shameless plug, that's why I built my Dashcoin Research website. It's dashcoin.meme.
Exactly.
I'm surfacing all the important information, like is the company VC backed? Does the founder have prior startup experience? Where's the product at? Is it live or is it just an MVP? Like, do they have paying customers? All that stuff is like, you'd have to do the research yourself. You have to go on Twitter, you have to go on LinkedIn, you have to go like talk to the founders themselves. And I'm doing that research and just hosting it on my site for everyone. So I'm trying to make that simpler, because that's the fun of this. That's why I love it. And that's not just meme coins, because meme coins are boring. Like you said, it's like, what KOLs bought this? Does it have legs to go up? Is it funny enough? It's kind of boring, you know. But with this, like, you can really do your research and get paid for it. So that's exciting for me, and that's my mission.
Yeah, it's super fun. It's like you're democratizing angel investing, and you're democratizing like VC essentially. That's what I see the true value of this new meta being, and that's why I'm so enthusiastic to build it, and that's why I did launch it. This is the first token I've ever launched. I've had the ability to launch so many tokens, built things from scratch. I've just been sitting behind, like building and coding the money flows, and I've just been sitting watching all of this take place. Only now with this new meta have I decided to launch my own token. That should mean something. And one thing I'm seeing is, me personally, I'm extremely tapped into the young kind of like builder, arena space, and all of my friends and all my peers, they're starting to get chirped up a little bit by Believe. I wouldn't say a little bit, actually, probably a lot. And there's a lot of like energy starting to form in the builder space. I think in the next month you'll see a lot more big projects start to come out of the cupboard, should I say.
So you're thinking like these other friends of yours or colleagues of yours, they're looking at this kind of from the outside, and they're starting to wonder about maybe launching their own coin, is what you're saying?
Yeah, they're hitting me up. They're seeing my charts. They're seeing what's possible. People do not want to, like specifically technical people, like young people, they don't want to go for VCs. They don't want to give up 10% of their company. Like who wants it? Like it's so like objectively true. Like who wants that? Who wants the last thing a young person with high energy and a little bit of autism probably wants is some old dude telling them like what to do. Nobody wants that. Like you want believe makes total sense. You can launch your product, go viral on X, gain like minimum 20K in funding to build your product, and start a really really core audience and a cult following. Basically, like bootstrap that off the ground. The incentives make total sense for builders. And where there's builders, there'll come activity, and when there's activity, there'll come volume, and when there's volume, there'll become trading, and that's what I think will happen, and it'll reignite the trenches.
Let's go reignite the trenches. And like you mentioned, I think it's a really beautiful setup, because also your holders are going to be the first one to tell you all the problems with your product. They're going to be like, hey man, you need to fix this to make my bags go up. And so it's like the symptoms are very aligned in that way. It's like, otherwise, I think a lot of people build cool stuff, but no one cares. And until they get distribution, like they're not going to get a bunch of important feedback. That now they have people speculating and then giving them that feedback.
That is true. But one thing I would say is like not all feedback is true. Like you're gonna get a bunch of pressure to do like stupid stuff like burn and like a lot of things that just don't make sense. So their incentives are like slightly misaligned because they're just incentivized by the token market cap increasing. One thing I'll say to all belief builders out here is that you should focus building your product first, and your token will rise with it. If you focus on your token and don't focus on your product because you're focusing too much on your token, it might seem like you're doing good to your community, but you're actually fucking your community over because it's going to be entirely short-lived. You don't have the product to prove it. Like all massive tokens that you see are built off amazing products. Like Jupe doesn't exist because it's like a massive token and like everyone just loves meow. It's like Jupe exists because they've got a massive, amazing product, and the same is true for everything else. And there's a massive survivorship bias in that, where there's tons of projects that you've never ever heard of because they did the complete opposite and they focused too much on their token and not enough on their product, and now you have no idea who they are because they failed within the first couple months. That's one thing I was to say. My observations of being in crypto for the last 5 years as a dev is make sure you build a great product, and your token market cap will increase. Obviously, you need to make sure that you pay attention to CT to a certain degree. You need to keep marketing, keep getting eyeballs, keep creating viral bangers on X. Don't go off the grid for a month. But yeah, focus on building a good product, and your long-term success will
That's really good advice. I'm talking with so many of the Believe founders, and a lot of them are so new to this, and they need good advice like that. Like that's definitely something I've been telling them to do as well. Just like focus on the product, build a great product, and the rest will come. And I think you're uniquely positioned to give a lot of great advice. So I'd actually want you to keep expanding on that. What are some things that you think all these founders, these noobs, should know?
So one thing that's really, really, really important, extremely important, probably the most important thing, is you should never give up building. The market cap is going to go up and down and up and down. This is like how trading works. And like I mentioned earlier, right now we're seeing an antibody reaction to normal meme coin trading, where the coin spikes in the first 48 hours, and then it collapses like 90%. And what I see is a lot of anxiety from Believe founders who have this 90% drop, 80% drop, and they're like, oh, what do I do? I'm like, I didn't know this is how it works. This is how it works, and it's completely normal. And you just have to keep building. And when you keep building, that's when you make substantial growth, and you beat everyone else, and that's how you create an amazing token. In fact, I'll share a story. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm founding engineer of Helio, built it when it was nothing. Helio got acquired for $175 million from MinPay in January. And I was building it for 3 years with the team. And during that time, so many crazy market events happened. It all went to $8. FTX crash, a bunch of other like minor ones. Crazy. Probably like the worst environment ever to build in from the outside. But when you realize something, and this one thing I'm going to tell you in a second. It really changes your perspective on things. But like the bear markets and the lows and the crashes are for building. Like those crashes and those low times is what widows out the weak and what really separates your project from everyone else's. And yeah, we saw that. Like Sol went to $8. Crazy, like 80% drop. And we just kept building. We just kept building. And we got through it okay. I mean, we had to like make some cuts and some adjustments, but there was many other competitors in Helio to Helio that you've never ever heard of because they didn't make it, and they gave up during bad times. They gave up during bear markets and low periods. So yeah, to summarize, never give up building, even when the market cap is low. That's your competitive advantage as a builder. If you believe in this new believe meta, which I do, it's going to come back to benefit you really greatly. And I think a lot of people will give up, and that's what's going to separate you from everyone else.
There's a lot of founders struggling with how to integrate their token. Let me just say, actually, that whole thing you said about focusing on building is really great advice. I've seen a few people who I've talked with be concerned about their market cap going down and stuff, and I think you put it really well, and you gave a great example. And I'm seeing a lot of these founders struggle with how to integrate their token. They have this token that they haven't really thought through super well, and I'm wondering if you have any good advice on like how to maybe integrate it, or is it too hard to speak on that because it's so different for every token?
So yeah, it really much depends on a case-by-case basis. I think there's some quick wins you can do. One shout out I'll give is to Yapper. Emmett, he did a great job implementing like the ability to purchase credits with the Yapper token. And that's like an obvious one, but it just shows that like he's really in there with trying to add utility to his token. That's why Yapper is one of the big winners. It depends very much like what your project does. I mean, like for credit-based platforms, implementing your token as a credit and maybe giving like a 10 to 20% discount on those credits, that will incentivize like enterprise users, power users of your platform to purchase via your token. I think also, like I mentioned earlier, generating mindshare. Mindshare equals attention equals volume equals success. Generating mindshare is probably like one of the most important things you can do. And yeah, like don't. I would strongly recommend, like for 99% of people, like don't burn your token or anything. It sounds like a good thing to do on paper, but it's not. It's like a suboptimal thing to do relative to the amount of value that you could offer by, for example, offering like referrals or affiliates or something along those lines. And then finally, I think we're going to see there's going to be dozens of projects, and from that, the best ideas will rise to the top and how to integrate your token, and people will start to follow and do the same. And I think the Believe team's probably going to cook something good up to improve the flywheels and improve your own flywheels within your project as well. So pretty optimistic. I think this is a very good like R&D month to figure out, and we're going to see some clear examples. I think maybe CryptoGym will be one of them. Will be one of the leaders in figuring out how to incentivize things.
I believe in you, Michael.
Thank you.
I believe CryptoGym will be one of those great examples. This was a great interview, great podcast. I had a lot of fun talking with you, Michael. This is honestly one of my favorite ones I've done out of the like 13 that I've done so far, because I think you're so crypto native and you're so focused on building, and you have like a lot of really great ideas that are unique. You're definitely one of the people I think who is best suited to accomplish this task of making an awesome app with a token integration. You're definitely uniquely suited for this. So I'm really excited to see what you do, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show.
I appreciate it. One more thing I'll say is I'm a very contrarian builder, And I think that's exactly what's needed right now in this new belief meta of pushing out new ideas. In fact, a lot of people were confused because I launched my token, went off the grid for a month because I was still an employee, and then relaunched again without any interaction from the Believe team. It did 700K again, which is pretty good. But I launched the token, relaunched the token on a Saturday morning. And people were like, why do you launch on a Saturday morning? Like, are you a noob? Like, everybody knows that the best time to launch is during the weekday and at peak times. In fact, I think when I launched, like, the football Champions League final was on, so like nobody is on on crypto Twitter, and I did that strategically. Because I really want, like, I don't want, like, the wrong people in the kind of cult for CryptoGym, and I think I've attracted really great people that are going to believe in CryptoGym, ignore a lot of things, focus on building a great product, and what will happen is slowly but surely the market cap will increase. And right now, you know, like, it's sitting at a certain number, and in a couple months it'll be sitting at another number. But yeah, I'm just going to keep building, keep marketing, keep creating viral bangers. People are going to be looking back at this podcast and thinking like, wow, these two guys were on at this certain time. Like, why the fuck did I not watch this?
Exactly. That's why we got to give him the alpha early.
This
like
podcast is going to be like crazy alpha. And yeah.
It really is. I think this is one of the best I've done. And I'm so glad you were here to make it so awesome and to make it what it is. I really hope people see this, because I think there's a lot of signal here in terms of how to look at allocating in this meta, and for builders on how to build in this meta. I think it really applies to both audiences. And yeah, I'm just really grateful you decided to come on.
For sure, man. I love the new Believe meta. I love what you're doing. Shout out to Nicholas, everyone. He's really creating a sick community. This is what we need. We need people like Nicholas. I really see the start of something really, really great happening with this new meta.
Me
And
too.
all the right people are popping up.
I agree. That's an awesome part of this meta that I've seen. We're attracting really honest people from Web 2 who just want to build something cool. They just have ideas and they're just like trying stuff, and they see this belief thing and they want to try building. And they're honest, man. They do not want to just dump a token. They're like, oh, I have like $100,000 of this token, but like I'm not going to touch it. Like I want to use it to build my app. And I think that's really amazing that we're bringing on so many like honest people. And that's something I've seen across all my interviews. Like I have time with people before and after the camera rolls, and everyone's been really genuine so far and like honest and wanting to build a cool product. And I think that's one of the most fun things about this belief meta for me, is that we're really creating a community of people who are helping each other and like giving each other advice on like, hey, you got to improve this on your product, you got to change this. Like, it's been wonderful, and it feels very different than what's usually happening in Twitter in crypto.
100%. I mentioned earlier in the podcast that I was never incentivized by trading meme coins. For me, without going too deep into it, I'm someone with massive ambition. I'm going to try and change the world and build rockets and go to Mars and do all this crazy shit. I have this fire in my heart for building, but building the right things, building with transparency, building with honesty. And I could never really get out of bed in the morning to become like a trader trading meme coins. Now with Believe, again, first time in 3 or 4 years, I've been building the trenches. I've came up now and I want to launch a token. I want to build with transparency because I feel like this is probably one of the first platforms to enable that. So I'm extremely excited. And just to your point, like, you're right. If you go in the Believe Slack, for example, you can see a whole barrage of people that you would never expect to be in the crypto trading like scenes, and for all the good reasons. It's like, I'm so happy that these people have come, and it's going to start to really like whittle out, and the best people are going to rise to the top. This always happens, like in every market. Like, the best people, the right people always go to the top, the most honest people, and the least honest people we've seen it in crypto for the last couple of years now, they always get caught out and they always get tripped up. And I think this is really where I believe is going to excel. One more thing I'll say before we end this is one of the most important things I've realized in building in crypto for the last 5 years is the builders always define the financial success of the platform and the token, things like this. For example, I go to the hacker houses, like the Solana hacker houses, the Solana hackathons. I see the energy of people building. Sometimes there's more energy, sometimes there's less. But there's always a 6-month lag between the energy of the builders and the intensity of the builders and the financial outcomes from that. Right now, I would believe I'm seeing a massive pressure and emphasis on building. And if my hypothesis is correct from seeing the last 5 years of building on Solana and EVMs, I think in the next 6 months, we're going to see the financial outcome of that. Wherever like money flows, it's always the consequence of great builders. And finally, I'll say the great builders build during bear markets and during low market caps. So that's some alpha for you guys.
That is some alpha for sure. Michael, I definitely want to do like a follow-up in like a week or two. I feel like there's so much to talk about that we could keep going for like another 2 hours, but I know you got to go to bed and I'm getting tired too. And I just think there's a lot more we can talk about. So I think a follow-up would be cool. And I just really appreciate you coming on the show. This was a great episode.
We'll run it 100%.
Everyone go follow Michael on Twitter. Follow CryptoGym. Check it out. Michael, the app is live, right? We can try it out on the phone.
The app is live. You can try it on the Apple App Store. And yeah, follow me on X, MichaelBeer01. Keep notifications on, of course. And yeah,
definitely. I'm excited to try out your app. It sounds like fun. And I'm very stoked for it.
Let's run it.